Yes. So what you're going to be working on today is this very simple design. Huh? So for those who are in yesterday's session, the session itself is on YouTube. Actually, you can go and watch it. I'm going to be sharing the link shortly. But for those who are in yesterday's session, we had a brief introduction into Photoshop, and we were trying to explain how you can create a new file in Photoshop, how you can get started in working with text and layers. Now, this is a very simple design that has been created using Photoshop. The only things that you're going to be finding interesting is the things to do with these layers that you see over here. So anytime you're working with Photoshop, you're going to be working with layers, and layers are these are the layers themselves. We have the bottommost layer that is down below is a background, and you can change the background to any color. You can still create a new layer. You can add another extra layer all the way. Most of the design that is here actually, this works with mostly layers, and it actually works with the use of text and just being creative in Adobe Photoshop. Well, creating such a kind of a design is actually a very good kind of is a way that you can also try and make some money for yourself while using Adobe Photoshop. Because really, like such a design, someone could pay you like 1,000 shillings to create something like this, or even more, because there are individuals who are going to pay you more. It all comes with the aspect of using Adobe Photoshop creatively, and making sure that you're able to, work with each and every tool that you have in Adobe Photoshop. Now, to start, the first thing that you need to do before you create such a design is to create a new file. So I'm going to be creating the file. So the first thing you do is File and New to create that file. And when you open Photoshop, when you open this blip, it allows you to create a file with a distinct size. Now, the design itself that you see over here is an A4 size. An A4 size is a standard document, is a standard paper document that you have in Kenya, because I think most organizations operate with the A4 being the standard paper size that we have. So the A4, mostly when you open Adobe Photoshop, previously I had shared a link onto Adobe Photoshop to anyone who was interested in downloading it. I'm currently using Adobe Photoshop CC 2021. CC stands for Creative Cloud, where you're able to work with all software, interacting with all of them at the same time. That is, if you're using Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Illustrator, or Adobe After Effects, very many software, you can interact with them all the same. But now the version I have at the moment doesn't have it's a standalone version of Adobe Photoshop. Now, to create the file, the first thing you need to do is hover onto the print preset over here, where you select the document size that you're going to be working with. There are very many document sizes. We have A4, we have A6, we have A5, we have A3, but those are the most common paper sizes that you're going to find in Kenya and in Africa generally. There are other paper sizes, but most of them you're going to find that you're not going to be using them. Now, I'm going to select on A4, and when you select that, you can actually name your project. Like, for example, we can name it poster design, or we're going to name it poster design. And after you name it poster design, you can actually adjust everything that you want to maybe adjust in terms of size, in terms of resolution, in terms of orientation, all the other various things. Remember, we're using Adobe Photoshop CC 2021. Now, over here on the unit of measurement, you can select the unit of measurement that you prefer most. Like, for example, I would say I prefer to use pixels, I prefer inches, I prefer centimeters, I prefer millimeters, I prefer points, and I prefer picas. Now, most of the time, the standard unit of measurement that we've been taught in Kenya, mostly in primary school, is centimeters and millimeters. So mostly for me, I normally use centimeters because I'm able to comprehend that particular unit of measurement. And then when you select that, you can also select orientation. The orientation comes in handy when you want to select, like, whether you want it as a portrait design or a landscape design. Now, for example, like for this case, I'm going to be selecting the portrait design because that is what you're going to be working with. And for all the other features, you just leave them as they are. So we're going to select that, and we're going to select and say create. Now, this is your design. This is why you're going to be working on your project all through. Now, if in any case we add an image, if in any case we add maybe text, it's going to appear on this project file. Now, to start with.
Excuse me, Elvis.
Yes.
Are you able to zoom in your screen a little bit, just a little bit?
Oh, you want me to zoom in? Okay. The thing is,
Yes, I do.
I'm using. I'll be zooming in. This one is just a simple layout. Huh?
Okay.
All right. Now this is if I zoom in, it's only that I'm using a kind of a bit of a wide screen. Now for this case, the first thing that you're going to be doing is if we look at our design over here, the lowermost layer that we have over here is this background layer. So we can come first to Adobe Photoshop, and let me just hover down here. Let me just resize this just a little bit. Let me adjust this so that we can work with it easily. Okay, let me work with these just a bit. Trying to adjust it a bit kidogo. Let me just finish this a bit. Well, it's because I'm having a recording blip down here, but let me just show you. Down here, when you're using Adobe Photoshop, on your right hand side, down here at the bottom, hapa chini kabisa, down here, you have options to add layers. You have an option to add a layer. Like we have all these as other various things that we have. We have adding a mask. We have creating create a new fill or adjustment layer. You have grouping layers, and you have the main one that you're going to be working with today is creating a new layer. Now, if you wanted to create a new layer in Adobe Photoshop, you just need to click on this part to add a new extra layer. So that's how you add a layer. So you're going to add a layer by, let me first delete that, by clicking on this plus button on the bottom right hand of your Photoshop. So if I click that, it's automatically going to add a new layer over here. And there are very many ways that you can actually, even whenever you add an image, it's automatically going to be created as a new layer when you're using Adobe Photoshop. Now, after you've added your layer, let me just increase the size of that again. After you've added your layer, you have an option. We now need to fill this layer with that red color that we want to use. So the first thing is getting that red color. So you're going to look for it. Like for me, maybe when you click on this part over here, this part, we have this white and black color. You can select on it, and you can look for maybe like any color that you want to use. Maybe let's select that color, and then I'm going to click on OK. So when I select that color, I have an option. I want to fill this layer that we have over here. We can actually rename it by double clicking it and saying background. Let me just rename it as background layer, and that's the name that we're now going to have for our for that particular layer. Now we need to make.
Excuse me, Elvis.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption. What does a layer mean? And when you add an extra layer, does it mean that you're working on two projects? And is layer working space?
Okay. No. Okay. Ideally, a layer is any component of your design. You understand? Like for example, in this poster, you see this design that we have over here.
Yes.
Each and everything that we have, like this one is a layer, this one is a layer, this is a layer. A layer can be an image, it can be text, it can be a background, it can be anything, as long as it's working as a project in your, as long as you're working on something on your project, it automatically qualifies to be a layer. You understand that?
Not really. So it doesn't mean when you started this project, it was an A4. You started with an A4.
Yes. Now the A4.
That doesn't mean that you will drag everything onto that A4. Everything like now the canon or the picture all have to be in different layers.
No. Okay. Okay. What I mean, the A4, the design itself, the A4 design,
yes,
was creating the project file. You understand? You see the way you open Word, Microsoft Office Word. Like for example, I open Microsoft Office Word and create a new file. You understand? That is a new file itself. So in Photoshop, if I add like this text over there, that's a layer. If I enter again and add something else, that's a layer. If I enter again and I click insert an image, if I insert a picture on this file, that's another layer.
Okay.
You understand?
Thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Yeah, thank you. I understand.
No worries. Now that's, let me now the next part after creating that background layer is adding a color. Now with Photoshop, you have your tools on your left hand side. For those who didn't have an introduction into the various tools in Photoshop, please go to the YouTube video and understand on the tool itself, the various tools that you have in Photoshop. Now, we have the gradient tool, but on the gradient tool, we are trying to look for a tool by the name of the paint bucket tool. This tool just allows you to fill in a color on any layer or any background. So I'm going to fill this layer with that particular red color, and as you can see, we have that red color on our on that particular layer that we had, which is a background layer, and which goes similarly to show something like this. Now, if you look at this design, you're going to realize that there is a kind of a grunge texture. It's called a grunge background texture that we use in Photoshop. Now, we need to achieve this, and in order to achieve this, like I had to get this image from actually Google. I got this image directly on Google. So I just went online and searched for grunge background texture. You search for something like that. It's just a background texture that you're going to be using for your design. Now I'm going to be using any one of the grunge background textures I'm going to find over here. So like I can select like this one that is on Unsplash. Well, you have the option of right clicking and copying it, but it's important for you to realize that most of the images that you find in on Google happen to be very low size. Like for example, if you hover on this image, it's going to show you the size of that particular image, which is 500 pixels by 338 pixels. It's a very small image. You need a high quality image. Now, like for example, if I click on this one, it's still very low because you can see it's a very small image. Now I'm going to still hover around and look for an image that has a bit of a larger size. Now, like this one is a 3000 by 2000 pixels image, which makes it a very high quality image. Now you have an option. You can right click, save the image. Maybe you can save it on your files. Maybe let's say we save it over here. Let me look for a file. Let me save it over there. And then I'm going to open Photoshop, and I'm going to try and open that particular image. So to open an image on Photoshop, I'm just going to click on File and click on Open. And when I click on Open, it's going to I can go and navigate to where I've actually saved that particular image. Double click on it, select my image, and click on Open over here. We have this option of Open, and it's automatically going to open our image. Now, as you see, we have this image. So then the next thing that I'm going to do is that with Photoshop, you see you've imported that particular image as a one file. So most of the time it comes symbolized as a background. So you need to first right here we have this padlock over here. You need to disable it. So you disable it, and the next thing that you're going to do is drag this image. We're going to drag it slowly to our project file, then come and drop it over there. And as you can see, you have your image over there. Now, with Photoshop, you have an option of transform. Maybe if you want to increase the size of a particular layer. And as you can see, the moment you've added it, it's actually been added as a layer immediately. You can rename this. You can rename it as a background texture. You can rename it in such a kind of a format. Well, the next thing that you're going to do is maybe resize it to a scale where you're going to maybe have it as maybe just try and make sure that it fits your design. So currently it's in this kind of format. It doesn't fill our background, so we need to make sure that it fills our background. So what we'll do is we have an option. For those who don't like using shortcuts, we have the option of clicking on Edit, and then you click on Free Transform, which now gives you this option. Now you can rotate it. With transforming it, you can actually reduce the size. Remember that you're holding Alt. You hold Alt when you want to adjust it, all of it. But if you want to adjust one point, you don't hold Alt on your keyboard. That is, Alt is a key on your keyboard, so you can adjust it. Maybe adjust this one size, adjust this one like that. You can do something like that. However, you can use Control and T on your keyboard to maybe allow to now get into the point where you can transform your particular image. And then with Transform, Control and T, you can right click and do all the various things that you want. You can scale it, you can rotate it, you can skew it, you can distort, you can adjust its perspective, or you can still warp it. But mostly for now, we need to rotate it. So you're going to rotate 90 degrees clockwise. So you're going to have something like that. And then you're going to adjust this image up to that corner. And then you're going to directly on this right hand corner, I'm just going to move it down below to that kind of way. And then after I'm done with transforming, when I'm using Windows, I'm going to press on Enter. But if I'm using Mac, I press on return on my keyboard. And that's how you're going to first make sure that you have your grunge background texture on your design. Now, the next thing we want to achieve is this kind of overlay that we have over here. Now, you have a few options. Over here, when you're working with layers, at the top you have these options where you're going to set the blending, which is actually the blending of your particular layer. Now, you can actually decide to dissolve it. You can actually, again, decide to darken it. You can multiply. You can do a color burn. You can do a linear burn. You can do a darken color. You can lighten. You can do a screen. You can do a color dodge. You can do a linear dodge. You can do a lighter color. You can do an overlay. You can do a soft light. You can do a hard light. You can do a vivid light, a linear light, pin light, hard mix, difference, exclusion, subtract, divide, work with hue and saturation over here, all these. But it depends. Like, for example, I can decide to do with darken. And when I select darken, it forms something like that. Well, I can still adjust some few things about that particular layer. I can reduce the opacity. The opacity is the amount of visibility of that particular layer, maybe when you're working with your design. So I can reduce the opacity to something like this. I can reduce it to that extent. And as you can see, we've achieved such a kind of a background texture for our design. That's the first step. The next thing that we're going to be doing is adding our text. We have the text as Canon EOS R5C. Now, the images of this particular design, I actually got them from a very good website. The website itself, okay, it's an e-commerce website by the name of bhphotovideo.com. And I was just sampling the various photos that they have. And the title of that particular product is Canon EO5 R5C, which is a mirrorless cinema camera. Well, if you look at it, you can actually maybe select it. You can select any image that you see, and you can right-click and copy that particular image. Now, the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding this title. We have the title, which is Canon EOS R5C. This one is our main title. So I'm going to select that and copy it. Then I'm going to come to Adobe Photoshop, come to my project file. This is my project file. And remember, you have to save your file each and every time you're working on it. So you have to click on File. Then you're going to click on Save As. And you have to name that design. Like, for example, you have the poster design. We can rename it and say Poster Design 2022 and click on Save. You're going to do something like that and click on OK again. So it's automatically going to save your file so that you don't lose your design maybe when you're working on it. Now, the next thing that you're going to be doing is we're going to first copy this name. And then I'm going to come to Adobe Photoshop. And then I'm going to select the text tool over here, which allows me to type horizontally. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to come and click on this part, and then I'm going to paste the name of that product, which is Canon EOS R5C, which is the name of the camera. Now, on your right hand side again at the top over here, we have the character adjustment. In any case, if you don't see this character adjustment tool, you need to come and click on Window, and then you have to make sure that you select character, and you have to make sure that the layers are enabled. If not, if that doesn't work for you, you select on Window, click on Workspace, and then you select, it gives you quite a number of workspaces. You can select maybe something like Essentials, or you can select Graphic and Web. But if you don't see the character tool over here, you have to make sure that you go to Window and make sure that the character tool is enabled. We have very many tools in Adobe Photoshop, but you don't have to enable all of them. Now, when we have this layer over here, we can change the color. We can click on that part, give it a white color, and then click on OK. So it's going to change its color automatically. Then the next thing that you need to do is that you note there is a kind of a drop shadow that is appearing over here. We need to achieve this drop shadow. So what do? We go back to our design. This is our layer. Remember, this is our layer over here. Automatically, it's actually been created as a layer over here. So the first thing you're going to need to do is select it. We're going to right click. And then you're going to, we right click on the layer on the text itself. We right click, and then you're going to click on blending options. And when you click on blending options, it gives you very many options. But mostly for this class, you're going to be concentrating on the drop shadow tool, the drop shadow. So you click on the drop shadow, and you can see it creates something like that. When you click on the drop shadow, you're able to adjust a few things about that particular shadow that you've created. You can reduce the distance between the shadow and text. You can reduce the size. You can again reduce or increase the spread of that particular drop shadow. You can adjust it as you wish. You can adjust to that point. Again, you can adjust the opacity, that is the visibility of that particular drop shadow. You can have something like that. You can adjust the distance, as you can see, something like that. You can adjust the opacity, remember that. You can still change the color of your drop shadow, but most of the time, the drop shadow, the most preferable color is the black color. We have other things over here like noise, but you don't have to change anything about that. And then when you're done, you're going to click on OK. So that's the first thing that you've achieved, that you've actually achieved that by adding your text. The next thing that you're going to be needing is this text over here, which is a mirrorless cinema camera. So we're going to go back again to the website, and I'm going to copy this. I'll copy that, and then I'm going to come again to Photoshop, go to my design, and then I'm going to select the text tool. And when I select the text tool, I'm going to just click on inside over here and paste that particular text. And when I'm done, I'm going to select this tool over here, which I've been using quite a number of times. It's called the move tool. It allows you to move layers, that is images. It allows you to move text. It allows you to move maybe paragraphs and all those things. Now, after you're done with that, you can actually adjust the size of your text by just doing that on your character tool over here. You can just adjust the text when you hover onto the text part over here. It gives you an option where you adjust each and everything like this. You just move to your left to adjust the size to make it smaller, or you can move to the right. You can move this to the right to make it larger. Now, this is something that you can actually practice maybe when you're done with this class. Now, after you've done something like that, you can again make it smaller a bit so that it looks maybe decent to have something like that. And then you can change the color. You can actually change the color by just hovering again over here, and then you can select maybe this yellow color. We can do with this yellow color that is over there. And then after you're done, you realize that you need to give this an effect. So you can do the same thing. You can right click and click on blending options, or you can just come and double click on that particular layer. Now, like for example, if I double click on it, it's actually going to take me directly to the blending options, which allow me to adjust some few features. You can experiment with the blending options. Like for example, if you click on drop shadow, you can adjust maybe the size again. You can adjust the distance to make it a bit smarter. You can adjust it in this kind of manner. You can adjust the size again, but that's the basic way of adjusting maybe your drop shadow. Again, with the drop shadow, you can do with the blending options. We have outer glow. Then we have something like a pattern overlay, where you have a certain pattern overlaying your text. And then we have the gradient overlay, where you have 2 or more colors in your design. Like for example, if I select it, I can come and select maybe the basic colors and have like these colors. You can select more than 2 colors. You can have a color overlay. A color overlay just allows you to make sure that you have maybe that particular color that you want. Then you have like something like a satin. With satin, you can do adjustments. You can adjust the distance. You can adjust the size. But it all depends on how you want your design to look like. Then you have this inner glow. That is an inner glow that is on your layer. And then we have the inner shadow. We have something like an inner shadow over there. I think we can work with this. We have something like an inner shadow. Then you have the stroke. You're going to have something like that. That is the stroke itself. You can adjust the color. You can adjust the size. You can adjust the opacity. So these are things that you can actually do in Photoshop. You can actually select maybe any color that you want to use. And again, you can hide the stroke. You can add the texture. Maybe you can have something like that, which is a bevel and emboss, sorry. And you can adjust the depth. You can adjust the size. All these are these various things. And then after you're done, you just need to click on OK or Enter, and you're done. Now that's how we've added some blending options on our text, and I think it looks a bit nice. So again, we can still do some blending options. We can just double click on it. We're going to select this particular layer, and then you're going to right click on it, click on blending options, and then when we click on blending options, we can come and select the inner shadow, so that we can have such a kind of an effect, which actually makes it look very distinct. Now we're done with that. Now the next part is adding this image of this image. So the first thing that you need to do is we can go directly onto this is the link itself, the link that I got that particular image. So they have very many images. So I selected this one. This is the first image that I got. But you can select any image. Like for example, let me do this. Let me select that one. I'm going to right click on this image, and I have an option. I can save it. I can save it on my computer, and open it. Or to make it easier for me, I can just right click and copy that particular image. Then I'm going to go on Photoshop, click on Photoshop, and in any case, when you copy a file in Photoshop, like an image, it automatically comes to your clipboard. Your clipboard happens to have each and every copied file that you have on maybe on your computer and everything. So if I click on Control and New, it's automatically going to show that my clipboard has this image that is 500 by 500 pixels, which has a 72 ppi resolution. So after I'm done, I'm going to click on Create, and I'm going to paste that particular image. That's the image itself, the image that I've actually gotten from that particular website. Or to make it easier for you, I can just, let me close this, and I'm going to click on File, click on Open, and then I'm going to get that particular image because I've already downloaded it onto my computer. And then after I'm done, I'm going to click on Open to open that particular image. Now, once I'm done, I need to remove the background of this particular image. Now, the moment you import an image, it comes as a locked file. So in any case, if you wanted to move this, it has to tell you to convert to a normal layer. So to convert it to a normal layer, you can just say convert to a normal layer. But the easiest way to go about this is this image has a certain padlock over here. You need to click on it to unlock that particular layer. So you click on it and it automatically becomes a layer. Now the next thing that you're going to do is remove the background of that particular image. To remove the background, we're going to be using a tool called the Magic Eraser tool. The Magic Eraser tool is actually on your left hand side, and you can select it. When you select it, you're going to have an option. The first option is you can remove it. You can just directly click on this white layer over here, click on it, remove it. Then you move down here, click on it and remove it. Then as you can see, we've already removed that particular the particular white layer that we have over here. But now maybe you want to make sure that it's completely, that we have actually completely removed that particular white layer. So what you need to do is click on Edit, and then you're going to click on Free Transform so that we can adjust this. So I'm going to hold Alt or the Options key, that was when you're using maybe a MacBook, and you're going to adjust it, make it smaller by that bit. And then when you're done with transforming, you need to click on Enter so that you can confirm your selection. And as you can see, we have this certain color that we have over here. So we can select the Magic Eraser tool over here. The shortcut for the Magic Eraser tool is E. So when I select it, I'm going to come and just remove that background over there. So when I'm done, I have an option. I can just drag it and move it to my design file over here and just drop it. So you're going to have something like this. Or there's another option. You can just click on select all to select everything on your, maybe this layer, this particular layer. And then we can click on edit, and then we can say copy. After you're done, we can come to our layer into our project file over here. This is where you can navigate through projects easily in Photoshop by clicking this. You can click that, you can click that. But that's how easy it is to navigate into projects in Adobe Photoshop. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is, let me first remove this. I've already copied that from my previous workspace. So I'm going to click on Edit, and then I'm going to click on Paste to paste that particular image that I've just copied. And as you can see, there's an image over here. Now we need to make it bigger. By that, to make an image bigger in Photoshop, or maybe to increase the size of that particular image, or maybe to just adjust it, you need to transform that image in Photoshop. So the option for that is Control and T, which gives you the control tools of that particular image. Now, for you to make sure that you have an exact resizing of your particular image that you're using in Photoshop, you need to hold on Alt so that you can adjust the full image as a whole. So I'm going to just hold Alt and adjust it up to that kind of maybe extent. So I'm going to have something like that. This is now the image itself, and as you can see, it's almost fully like this one. As you can see, it's like this one actually. So what we need to do is you can actually have it at that. You can again add Control and T, that's Control and T, and just adjust it, move it to that point, just to make sure that it looks good. So we're going to have something like that with ease. It's very easy to do something like that. Now the next thing that you're going to be doing is, let me ask a question. Are we still together?
Yes, we are.
Oh, we are together. Don't worry, you're going to record these. I'm recording these. Huh? All right. Now, after you're done, you're going to have these as now your image. There are options for this. Like when you have an image in Photoshop, maybe you wanted to do some adjustments. Maybe you wanted to increase the brightness. Maybe you wanted to do very simple adjustments. Most of the time, you're going to find that photographers are the ones who know more about adjustments of photos, manipulating colors, and all these various things. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the image. This is the layer itself. I'm working with this layer. And then I'm going to click on image, then click on adjustments, and I'm going to click on brightness. So when I click on that, I can increase the brightness of that particular image. I can do something like that. Again, I can also increase the contrast. That's something that you can do in Photoshop. If I click again, I can come again, click on image, adjustments. I can come and click on levels. So these are things that you can work with. Maybe if you have dark images, you can do something like that. You can do something like that. These are all things that you can actually achieve using Adobe Photoshop. Then image adjustments, you can also adjust the curves. That is all the various, maybe the light intensity, the color intensity, all these things. They're actually adjustable in Photoshop. After you're done, click on OK. Then you can come and click on adjustments again. Click on vibrance, and you can actually increase the vibrance of that particular design that you have. You can work with the saturation. You can increase it to that point all the way. But we can make sure that your design doesn't have that effect that the colors are not very visible. So you're going to have something like that. That's the image itself. Now, if you go back to our project, we have the next part that we have over here, which is the text. And the text, like for example, I have this Word document, and I'm going to copy maybe all the way. I'm going to copy this text, Control and C to copy. These are the shortcuts that we use. And I'm going to come back to my layer over here, my design, sorry. And I'm going to select the text tool. And what I need to do now is draw a text box. So I have an external mouse, so I have to draw a text box using in Adobe Photoshop, and I'm going to draw something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that particular text that I've copied. But as you can see, its size is actually, it has a very the font size is actually very large, so I need to adjust it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and click on the text tool over here, and then I'm going to adjust it, moving to the left, to make sure that it becomes smaller. Up to a point, it can be something that is workable. So I'm going to have something like that. And if you look at it, you realize that there is a lot of spacing between each sentence on that particular paragraph. So over here, we have these adjustments, this vertical alignment, which allows you to work with something we call leading. That is the spacing between sentences in a paragraph, or even paragraphs in maybe a statement. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to move it maybe to the left to make sure that I'm trying to achieve something smaller. So I'm going to have something like that. I'm going to adjust it again to move it become smaller a bit. And then because it's not visible at a distance, I have to make sure that I adjust the font size of the text. So I'm going to select this part over here where I adjust the font size. I can increase it. I can increase it again up to that point. And when I'm done, after I'm done, again, I can adjust the alignment, that is the leading itself, and I can do something like that. When I'm done, actually, I can actually, let me increase the font size again. Let me increase the font, the spacing between the sentences in that particular paragraph. And then when I'm done with adjusting the character presets, I'm going to come and click on the paragraph over here. And then I'm going to click align to the center. You can have all the various alignments on your design. You can have align to the left, to the center, to the right. You can actually justify your text. To the last left, we have justify. To the last centered, we have justification to the last right, and we have justify all. Well, you can click on justify all if you prefer, but most of the time you can actually justify to the center and have something like that. So you're going to have something like this, which actually looks good. You need to make sure that your document and text they look smart in Photoshop. Now you need to adjust actually now how the font, maybe to make it bolder. That is the font style itself. So for example, right now the font that I'm using is called the font is called Centrano. I don't know if it's Centrano or Centra number. I think it's Centra. The font is Centra itself, and it has quite a number of the styles that we have. We have hairline, we have hairline italic. Each font actually comes with like quite a number of styles that you can use. But for now, we can actually work with maybe book. Let me see, when we can make it bolder a bit, we can do medium to make sure it looks good, but maybe we can do bold so that it looks sharper. So let's say we're going to have something like that. Now, the next thing, like if so maybe someone might ask, how am I zooming in? I'm zooming in. I have an external mouse. So what I'll do with your keyboard, you can actually press on Control and the plus button to zoom in, or you can use the Control and minus button to zoom out. Or if you have your mouse, you just need to hold on Alt and use the scroll button over here to zoom in. That is a scroll which allows you to scroll, and you can zoom in and out as you hold Alt. Remember to do that. Well, you can also have, sometimes I tend to believe that some laptops actually have the ability for you to zoom in. Like for example, mine doesn't have that functionality, but you can easily zoom in with maybe some laptops may allow you to zoom in with the mouse pad itself. Again, after you're done with maybe this text, you have a few things that you can do. That is adjust. You can double click on it and you can adjust the size of the text box itself. You can actually adjust it in that kind of a manner. So you're going to have your text very well laid out in that kind of format. So when you have something like that, I think that's all good because the text now looks good. Now the next part is adding these images. Now images is the same thing. What you need to do is just go back maybe to the website. I'm going to go to the website. Maybe I can like copy this image. I can come and copy that particular image or save it. Let me save this one, save image. Let me save this one as one image. Let me select another one. Let me select this one. I need 4 images, so I'm going to select, let me look for another one. Let me select this one. Let me select this one. I'm going to save it. You have an option of copying, but I'm going the long way so that you can understand. So I can have like this other one. So let me save this one again. So I'm going to save all those images. Those are 4 images to work with. And I'm going to go to Adobe Photoshop. Let me close this one because we've already worked with it. And then I'm going to come directly to the folder itself where I've downloaded the images. Let me have the folder itself is I had created this folder. So we have all these various images. So you can sort the images. You can sort by date so that you can actually work with the images with the images efficiently. So I can like select this one. Now another way of opening images in Photoshop is dragging them onto Photoshop itself. So I have this window opened up over here. So I can select this particular image and then drag it over here and just drop it. And automatically it's going to come to Photoshop. So the next thing I'm going to do is remove the background. But the first thing I need to do is to first unlock these layers so that it becomes a normal layer. So I'm going to click on this part to unlock it. And as you can see, we have our image over here. So I'm going to select the magic eraser tool, and then I'm going to remove the background very easily. It happens like that. Now, another thing about the magic eraser tool is that it allows you to adjust tolerance. Tolerance means the ability of the magic eraser tool to work efficiently. Now, if we put the tolerance value over here to something like 2 or 3, let's see how it works. If I click on it, it's not going to remove the background efficiently as if maybe we put the tolerance value to something like 100. Because at one point you're going to realize there are some things, like if you zoom in, you're going to realize we have these whitish that is remaining over here. So we need it all removed. Well, with Photoshop, again, if you realize you've made some errors, you can always undo. That is Control and Z. Or you can use Control, Shift, and Z to redo. So you have something like that. Now, I'm going to adjust the tolerance value to something like 20. And then I'm going to click on Enter. And I'm going to remove the background over here. Remove it over here again. So you need to remove it systematically. We're going to remove that. And then you're going to remove that. After you're done, you can actually now move this to your project. You can actually drag it and come and drop it over here to your project. So you have, this is your first image. This is the first image that you have over here in your project. So you can actually adjust it. To adjust the size, you need to press on Control and Transform. Or if you prefer to go the long way, that is Edit and Transform, or Free Transform, sorry. And then you can adjust the size. You can increase the size maybe to this part and have something like that. Now, the next thing that you're going to need to do is to have some, to add the other various images that we have. So we have 3 other images to add. We're going to follow the same process and the same steps. Remember to always save your file, Control and S to save it. So I'm going to go directly again to the folder, and then I'm going to drag this second image and drop it over there. And when I drop it, I'm going to select the magic eraser tool again, and I'm going to select remove the background again. And as you can see, we've already removed the entire background. Now we have a shortcut for this. Maybe if you want to select everything, maybe if you want to select this, you can press on Ctrl and A. Or if you prefer to go the long way, you can click on select and select all. And then you can click on edit and you can say cut or copy. And then you're going to come to your project file over here. And then you're going to click on edit and paste to paste that particular image. So this is your second image that you have over here. You can again adjust the size. You have the option of clicking on edit and clicking on free transform so that you can increase maybe the size of it to maybe that part. Maybe you can still move this to this. We can move this all the way. So we're going to have we have some space for two other images. So I'm going to select again Photoshop, my file, the folder itself that I had, the window. And then I'm going to select this second image, the third image, sorry. And then I'm going to drag it over here and make sure that it is in my project file. And I'm going to first unlock this layer to make it a normal layer. And then I'm going to select the magic eraser tool and I'm going to remove the background. Then I'm going to remove the background again at the bottom. And now I have an option. I can do something like select the entire design. So I can do Control and A, which allows me to select Control and A. And as you can see, if you hover over here and click on select, it shows you that the shortcut for that is Control and A. If you want to deselect, the shortcut for that is Control and D. So I can do Control and A to select, and then I can do Control and C to copy. Then I'm going to come to the poster design. And after I'm done, I can come. This is my project, so I'm going to use Control and V to paste it. As you can see, we have the design, the third image now pasted over here. And to transform it, you press on Control and T to do a free transform, and you can adjust the size of that particular image. So you're going to have something like that. Let me adjust it to that point. And let me move it just a little bit. And I think we are done with that part, with that third image. Now we need to have the fourth image actually now. And I'm going to go to my window again, and then I'm going to select this image, drag it over here to my design, and after I'm done, this is the fourth image now. Now I need to convert it to a normal layer, so I'm going to click on this padlock over here to unlock it, and then I'm going to select the magic eraser tool, and after I'm done selecting the magic eraser tool, I'm going to come and click on this white layer over here, the white color itself, and automatically it's going to be removed. So I can do Control and A, or I can do select all, and then I'm going to come and click on edit and cut. However, I can actually move this particular image easily using the move tool. The shortcut for that is V. The move tool allows you to move objects or maybe layers. So I can move this to my project file, and then I'm going to come and drop it over here. And as you can see, we have that as our fourth image. Now we can actually adjust this. We can maybe select this one, make it smaller a bit, and so that we have some more space for all the images. I'm going to make this smaller again. Let me adjust it to that part, and then I can select this again, make it smaller. And again, maybe like if you look at this image, we have this very kind of it's a gray color. We can select the magic eraser tool again. We can zoom in and remove that particular color. So we can remove it very easily. You can remove it again, and it just tries to remove like the blemish effectively. So as you can see, we have something like that. And I think we can adjust this size again to make it smaller. And on this one again, we can adjust it, increase the size. Holding Alt allows you to adjust the entire selection. But if you don't hold Alt, it allows you to maybe adjust one particular part of your layer or your file. So we're going to have something like that. So I'm holding Alt, so I'm going to adjust each and everything about that particular image. When I'm done, I need to press on Enter or Return on my keyboard to make sure that now we have the image is now going to look like you've adjusted the size of that particular image in Adobe Photoshop. I think up to that point we've now achieved quite a number of things. The only thing that remains now is having this layer and the text and all the other information. Now this buy now button over here, it's actually very easy to add it. Now I got that buy now button online, so I went and searched for buy now PNG. A PNG is an image without a background, And I searched for that image online and I was able to find it. So I went, clicked images, clicked on the various images that are there. And I happened to have seen it in I found it over here. So this is the image itself. So I can right click on save image as a PNG, and I can save it as a, maybe, let me say, buy now button. So I can save it as that. And then I'm going to click on Photoshop again. And let me close this. Let me close this one. I'm going to close this one again, close this one. And you don't need to save the files because you're done using them. But remember, on your project file, you have to make sure that you save it. So I'm going to save these again, and to make sure that I have everything. Now, the next thing that I'm going to be doing is adding this buy now button over here. So I'm going to click on File, click on Open, and I'm going to click on this buy now button and click on Open over here so that I can now move it. Now I can actually drag it. I can drag it over here and just come and drop it over there. So you're going to have something like that. Now I need to increase the size of this particular buy now button. So I'm going to select it. I can come and click on Edit, and then I'm going to click on Free Transform to increase the size of that particular button. So I can hold Alt and adjust each and every aspect of that particular button so that you can have something like that. Again, I can do Control and T, and I can just adjust one particular part so that we can have something like that. And then after I'm done adjusting it, I can just click on Enter to make sure that my selection and maybe what I've done has been actualized in Adobe Photoshop. Now that's how easy it is to add that buy now button in Adobe Photoshop. Now the next thing that we need is to have this very simple rectangle where we're going to add this very simple text. So I'm going to select Photoshop itself, select my layer. I can select the topmost layer over here, and then I'm going to come and select this the rectangle tool. The shortcut for that is U, and you have very many options. You can draw a rounded rectangle, you can draw a circle, that is an ellipse, we have a polygon tool, we have lines, and some other custom shapes. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool, and when I select it, I'm going to just draw a very simple rectangle over here. And when I draw it, I have an option over here that allows me to fill it with a color. So I'm going to select it and fill it with a white color. So that's the color that we're going to be having. So that's the color itself, the white color that we're going to be using for this. And now the next thing that remains is now adding this particular text, that is ergonomic EOS design, all the others. Now I had copied that text, I had it over here. So I'm going to select it, the whole of it. I can right click and copy, come to Adobe Photoshop, and then I'm going to click on my project file, maybe adjust. You can move these actually, you can move it up and down. You can actually even adjust it. You just need to do Control and T, or click on Edit and click on Free Transform. You can actually make it, maybe adjust it in this kind of manner. But for these, so that it doesn't adjust in this format, you have to hold Shift on your keyboard. You hold Shift to adjust one part. But because if you don't hold Shift, it's actually going to adjust each and everything on the shape itself. So I'm holding Shift, I can move it down, something like that. I can adjust it in this kind of manner. This is a way you adjust a shape. This comes with the version itself, Adobe Photoshop CC 2021. That's the use of that's how you use the shift button on your keyboard to maybe do some adjustments. So because we copied the text, I'm going to come and select the text tool, and I'm going to come over here, draw a very simple text box over there, and when I'm done, I'm going to paste my text. After I'm done pasting my text, I can see that it's not visible. So I have to make sure that it's visible. So the first thing I'm going to do is select a color. So over here, I'm going to select the color. And again, when you select the color picker, it allows you, like for example, if I move outside the color picker, it gives me something like this. This shape over here, this is called the eyedropper tool. So if I select this color, it's automatically going to set that as the new color. So if I click on OK, you're going to realize, let me just adjust the font size of this text. So I can just reduce it in this kind of manner. And I need to move this layer at the top. Let me move it at the top because it needs to be above the rectangle. You can actually move layers in Adobe Photoshop very easily. So I'm going to move it at the top so that it's visible. So as you can see, it's very visible. Because if I move it down below, it's not going to be visible because it's going to be below the rectangle. So I'm going to move it at the top. And as you can see, we have this text over here. Now, you can adjust the font size. Maybe you can make it smaller. You can actually make it even larger. And then you can adjust the leading, that is the spacing between the sentences in maybe your paragraph. You can adjust it in this kind of manner. So we're going to adjust it by moving this part to the left. So we're going to have something like that. We can adjust it again. And again, after that, we can adjust the font size, make it smaller again. Then I can click on paragraph and align it to the center. First thing is align it to the center. Make sure that it's completely at the center. Or you can do any alignment that you prefer. You can have even maybe align to the left. We can do align to the right. You can do all these. But for me, I'm going to align it to the center. Now, the next thing and the most final thing that we're going to be doing is adding this text over here. That is order now, blah, 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 all that information. Now, we can actually add very simple. We can just select all of it, and then we're going to copy it, or right click and copy. Then I'm going to come to Photoshop, the Adobe Photoshop project itself, and then I'm going to select the text tool over here, and I can draw a text box. So I'm going to draw a very simple text box, draw it up to that point, and release. After I'm done, I'm going to paste that text, and as you can see, we need to change the color of that particular text. So I'm going to click on character and select that again, and I'm going to select it, maybe give it a color white. So you're going to have something like that. But now with text, you can actually adjust each and every, you can make sure that you have an adjustment for each and every maybe sentence or even paragraph or even word. Like for example, now we can actually adjust this. So we can select all these again, and we can give it a font style. Maybe we can give it medium or make it a bit smaller. So we can do something like that. Then we can select order now. We can increase the size of it. And then we can actually, let me just reduce it a bit so that the other text is visible. And then I'm going to select, maybe give it like maybe this yellow color. Click on OK. And again, maybe I can decide that I need the font to be conspicuous. So I'm going to select font. And I can come and select, give it maybe like an extra bold kind of color. And again, I can select this, maybe increase the font size again to make it larger. As you can see, we have something like that. And then when you're done, you just need to select the move tool, so that now you can actually move each and every tool on your design. So basically, that's how easy it is to create that very simple poster. And I hope this actually helps you. Again, with the photo itself, like you can select the photo that you see over here, and then you can right click on blending options over here. The shortcut for that is double clicking on that particular layer. It opens up blending options. So we can give it a drop shadow to maybe have something like a shadow over there. So if I adjust it, it can become maybe increase the distance, something like that. We can even do the spread. So you can adjust each and everything about that particular layer. So you're going to have something like that. And then when you can actually even move it. So that's the whole thing itself. And again, you can actually double click on that particular layer. And then when you're done, click on drop shadow, move it, just do the adjustments as you, maybe if you feel maybe this one works with you, you can increase the size, you can reduce the size, something like that. And then when you're done, you just need to make sure that you save your file. Well, up to that point, that is how you can easily create that particular poster. Very simply, very easily in Photoshop. You can actually even move these again to the top, move these again, and then you move these. Then you can actually even move these text to the top. So you're going to have something like that. And now that's how easy it is to create a very simple design in Photoshop. Now someone tells you, I need this file in 3 various formats. I need it in JPEG, which is a picture, a PNG, which is a high quality kind of image, maybe without a background, and I need it in PDF. So with Photoshop, you can save your file in various formats. Now, for example, if I'm saving this for a client, I'm going to click on File, click on Save As, and then I'm going to create a new folder. I can create a new folder, poster, final files. All right. And then when I'm finished with that, I need to first save the first file format, which is JPEG, which happens to be the photo. Click on Save, and it gives me the format. I can select the quality to be maybe maximum, and then click on OK. After I'm done, I need to save the second file format, which is PNG. So it's PNG file, save as. I'm going to click on the final files folder I've created, PNG, and then I'm going to click on Save, and I'm going to save that file immediately. The next thing I'm going to do is save the file as a PDF file, that is a printable file or a shareable file. So I'm going to click on File, Save As, select it, and then I'm going to save it as a PDF file. So I'm going to click on the final files, save it as a PDF. Now with the PDF file, you have a few adjustments that you can do. You have to make sure that it's a small size. So you can save it as a high quality print file. You don't need to preserve the Photoshop editing capabilities because it's going to be a large file. And then when you're done, click on save, and you'll have saved a very good PDF file. Now remember that you need to always make sure that you save your project again and again so that you don't lose your artwork. So I'm going to click on file, and then I'm going to click on save as again, save as, and I'm going to save as Poster Design 2022. Save it once again so that I make sure that I have the file ready now. So if I go to my folder, and click on the final files, I have three various file formats. I have this one, which happens to be, the first one is a JPEG, and as you can see, it's something that is very high quality, looks very nice. And then we have the next one, which is a PDF file, which is a printable file. This one you can send to clients maybe when they want to do printing and all the other various things. And then finally we have this PNG file. The PNG happens to be a very high quality image. So this is the final file. So when you present a client, when you send this to a client, the client should give you 1,000 shillings or 2,000 shillings cash at hand after you finished designing this. And assuming you're the one who was doing it practically, it should not take you more than 30 minutes. Yeah, it should not take you more than 15 minutes. It should not take you more than 20 minutes. You need to make sure that you perfect your skill. Now, up to that point, do we have any questions? Do we have any questions?
Elvis?
Yes.
I have a question. How can I remove the background in a picture?
A picture, most of the time, you find that you had like a certain photo. Maybe you have any photo that you have. You have options of removing a background of a photo using the magic eraser tool. But sometimes, like for example, I can look for an image, like let me say graduation. Let me look for an image on a graduation. Most images you can't really remove backgrounds because of maybe all the texture that they have. Like for example, let me just take this image. Let me copy it, and then I'm going to come to Photoshop, click on File and New, and let me paste it. If I wanted to remove the background of this image, it takes a lot of time, because the first thing, if you use the magic eraser tool, if you select it, it's not going to be very perfect. You can see something like that. Now, the next thought that you might think is maybe you increase the tolerance. Maybe you can do like 100. If you select it, it's going to delete each and everything over here. Now, the most important thing that you can use, and a tool that you can use, is called a quick selection tool. The quick selection tool allows you to do something like this, to do like this kind of a selection. Now, for those who were in yesterday's class, we introduced this tool itself. But however, it happens not to be very perfect. Now, assuming you have an image with very many people or objects, you're left with one option. Using a free hand, kutumia, you use a certain tool that is called, you can use a pencil, that is a pen tool. And what you need to do is come like on this part, you draw, you select, up to the point maybe you select all these, up to the part, maybe up to the place yenye utaona, that is the part I need. But for this class, you're not introducing the pen tool. So that's how you could get started in removing background images of an image in Adobe Photoshop. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, but you need to look on, maybe you can just check out some tutorials online on the pen tool.
Okay.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Yes, Njeri, I can't hear you very well.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
You see how you went to Google and you saved the image, the background for the project.
Yes.
And you're able to sift through a couple of images to determine the right pixels to use.
Yes.
So is there like standard measure for pixels? Like if you open an image, you look at the pixels, you're able to know this one will work for me on Photoshop. Is there a measure, a metric for that?
Okay, normally, most of the time, I recommend someone, if you want to look for an image, I recommend that you go to a professional website. Like an example, let me just show you an example of a website like that one. It's called pexels.com. Pexels.com allows you to download images on a very high quality. Like for example, let me search for an image. Sometimes it tends to be slow. I don't know what's the problem with your servers, but you can get very high quality images. Another website is called pixabay.com. Pixabay.com. These websites are actually free image resource websites that you can get very many images that maybe you want to use. Like for me myself, because sometimes I tend to be working with clients who have all these copyright issues, I get images from this website called freepic.com. I pay like 1,800 shillings a month to get resources. I get images, I get text. They are free resource, and anytime I download an image, I'm able to get a license for that particular image. But now, like this is Pexels. Like for example, let me search for an image. Let me just give me an image. Which image would you like for me to search?
You see, whatever we used for background.
Yes.
Search that.
Let me search for a grunge background. You can actually find quite a number of images on pexels.com. They are free license images. Like we can still go back to this. Let me refresh this. I don't know why sometimes they have problems with their website. This also has a problem, so let me leave it. But you can actually find very many images. There's another website called unsplash.com. You can actually find all those images over there. Like let me see the various images that it has. It gives you quite a number, actually a wide selection of images that you can use. Like on unsplash.com, you can actually get very good and free images. As you can see, using these images.
Yeah.
Now you can, like, if I select this one, it allows me to, I can download it automatically. So if I select this, the original size, you can see it's very large, 4032 by 2688. So if I download it automatically, it's going to come as a very large file, a file that is very easy to use. That is when you're using Adobe Photoshop. Yeah. Yeah. So, but mostly, like for example, because you're going to be using Google quite a number of times. So someone tells you, I need an image, maybe let's just do the grunge background texture again. So if I search for that particular image, and I come to the images, I am able, you can sift through. There's a way you can sort, actually. I don't remember the way you can sort over here, but you can actually sort. You can actually sort the image. You can sort it by large. You make sure that you have the large size images. Like if you select this one, you can see it's very large, 1400 by 980 pixels. You can see, like you can select this one again, it's very large. Select this one, it's very large. Select this one, it's very large. You've been able to sort over here by large. You can actually sort by color. You can even say maybe any color that you want. You can say the type. You can even say set the time, all these various things. But maybe you need to sort it by large size so that you can have the large size images. You get it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's something like that.
Okay, another one. I think I missed something.
All right.
You see, how you are pasting the cameras from the saved files to our project. So where that process, how can I put it?
Of copying.
There's a way.
Of copying
Yeah,
the, like I came here, copy, right click, copy.
Yes, and then you took it to Photoshop.
Yes.
On another project.
Yes. Okay.
So is it that you're opening a couple of new files?
Okay. Yeah, it's like opening a new file.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the same.
Or are you overwriting? Sorry, are you overwriting the previous image so that you're able to place it on that project?
No.
And then remove it from there to this one, to whatever we are seeing right now.
No, when I copy an image and bring it into Photoshop, it's just like bringing a new project, all right? And then when I bring it, like for example, let me just go to this image. Let me select like a different one. Let me select this one. I right click on it, copy the image, all right? Then I'm going to come to Photoshop, File, New. You understand? Then I copy according to the clipboard, and then I'm going to click on Create. You understand? Then I'm going to click on Edit and paste it. You see? This one is a project by itself, and I can actually, because it's one image, so I can just come remove the background by just doing something like that. You understand? Then after I remove it, I can just bring it because this is what I need. I bring it to my design. You see?
Yes. So now as you're bringing now the second whatever, the
Yeah.
second tool, you are still creating a new file.
No, you've not. Okay, ideally, you're using Photoshop's tool, all right?
Yes.
Instead of bringing it, you can have an option. You can just paste it over here. You see? It has its background. Unaiona? After you paste it, you can just remove the background easily and just move it. You see? But now you want to treat it somewhere else. Unaenda kuiassemble mahali kwingine, and then you bring it into Photoshop. You get? You are assembling it as a project by itself, and then you bring it as a final product in Photoshop after umeitoa background.
Hiyo nimeshika. Sasa so unaona hii ya pili, hii yenye sasa umeweka hapo. So nikitaka kuongeza another one, naiweka tu kwa hiyo penye umeidrag from. Sasa nikileta ingine kutoka kwa your saved file to kwenye umetoa hii saa hii.
Okay, ideally unasemaje?
Ebu rudi back.
All right.
Rudi kwenye
hapa.
Here. So now I want to bring another one. So siku over nini? Nitaka ku overwrite.
No. You're not going to overwrite. You're going to create a new project again. So if I come and select another image, let me select another image like this one. All right. Yes. Then I bring it. So I'm going to click on File and New. You get? Create a new file. Okay. Then I'm going to paste that one.
Okay.
You've noted that, huh?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Karibu. Anyone else with a question? Yes.
Venye umesema picture msi anapewa license, ni crime kucopy picture tuseme kutoka kwa Google. Uitumie kwa kazi yako. Is it a crime?
Some is a crime, by the way. You know, pictures that have people, like, you can't just go and copy a photo of someone and use it. You get? So ikifika ni hapo, you have to use images from such a website. We have a website called freepic.com. Yes?
Na sasa na hizo picture hizo za nini za garage background.
Those ones don't have issues. No. Those ones don't have. Yenye mostly inakuanga na issue ni the one that has a facial. Like Cyrus nikuulize, like for example, if I took your photo and nitengeneze a design for Equity Bank. Yeah? If I created a design for Equity Bank and I've used your photo, you're going to sue me, right? Cyrus? Cyrus, you understand? Mostly it comes when you're involving facials, but most of the time easy grunge hazinanga issues, easy background. But so anytime unatengenezea client job, like maybe if you're told to create a poster and you have to involve people, lazima you get the images from the client. You understand? Yeah, because ukitumia picha ya mtu mostly it mostly works with when you're using facial pictures za watu facials, but when it comes to backgrounds and hizi vitu zingine zote, there's no issue. You understand? Cyrus? All right. Anyone else with a question? Does anyone else have a question? Yes.
So maybe I have a project about maybe I need to make a poster for your gym. Then this client does not have any photos. And I go take maybe those people near for gym.
Naelewa.
And I don't include the facials. Yani nimechukua tu body akiwa na hizo gym hizo weights.
Hiyo ni issue pia. Hiyo ni issue. Someone has said ametuma can you unaweza zima microphone yako kidogo? Someone is saying, Edwin Munene is saying royalty free pictures, lakini stuff kama pictures za wanyama and the like are copyrighted. Like for example, this mtu akikwambia ni story na gym, Freepik allows you, like for example, if I come and search for an image ya gym, you're going to get quite a number of images over here. Na most of the time mingi zinakuanga free. Chenye tu unafanya is maybe you decide that on a monthly basis by then naweza kuwa nalipa hizi images because you're going to include it in the costing of your project. Unashika? Our guy over here, umeshika? So mostly hizi images. Aha. Kuchukua Freepik. Sasa hiyo unajua you know Freepik has the free images, iko na free images na zenye si free. So ukichukua image ni free haina shida. But ukichukua image premium hiyo ndo iko premium, unajua lazima ulipie. Wacha nikuambie something. If you have to do something professionally, it is better you buy. Like, let me show you a brief example. Like, there's a client I was working for. Like, me, nikiambia client, by the way, on work that they want done, I normally first make sure that I tell them that costing yenye nitawalipisha yote is going to include even the cost of that particular, of even the images yenye nitatumia. Now let me open a file for you over here. Uangalie. I'm trying to locate it. I don't know if it's this one. I was working, nilikuwa nafanya company profile for a client. And each and every image yenye unaona hapa, any image yenye unaona hapa, unless the client has sent, most of the images yenye ziko hapa zimelipiwa. Even like this one has been paid for. Hii imelipiwa, and they don't, hazita kupea any copyright issues. And yeah, that's the whole way. Juu ukisema utumie images za Google, most of the images don't see high quality, and you're after delivering something that is good. So most of the time utanipata kwa hii site, I normally pay some amount of money every month to get images from here. But pia unaweza zipata from such a website. It's called Pexels. But for any graphic designer in the world, any graphic designer, they rely on these websites. It's called freepik.com. Na si images peke yake. Hata mtu ukikwambia nitengeneze business card, unakuja tu unatoa template hapa. Like, let me show you. You just come and get the template over here. Just you understand how to work well with it. Unaitengeneza vizuri, work with it. Na unalipisha wao client thou. Like someone can also tell you nitengeneze poster, you're going to come and get the same poster designs over here, and they are very many. Like you can see, you have 1.67 million images of that particular poster. So most of the designs zenye unaonanga hata with these NTV zote zinakuanga zimetoka hapa, because all you need to do is get creative. So yeah, hii ndo advantage ya kutumia hizi sites. You know, you give value by providing, you know, premium quality services. I hope you understand. Yeah. Anyone else with a question so that we can wind up? Does anyone have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
So, you say that you have to pay these people.
Yeah, it gives you unatumia kadi. You use, most of the time I use unatumia Visa or Mastercard. It's Freepik. You unaenda tu una load money into your card, the card, ama you create an M-Pesa. M-Pesa nowadays inaku allow to create a virtual card. You understand? Yes. Well, anyone else with a question? All right. I hope this actually helps you, by the way. I'm going to make sure that this is available tomorrow. So to anyone who is in the group, yeah, that's it's nice working with a real project so that you're able to understand how to get into this work effectively. Now with something like this, hii inaweza kusaidia sana when you're making when you want to make any progress, maybe any progress in Adobe Photoshop. Well, I hope you've all gotten something, and I hope maybe in future when we have more classes that you're going to be coming in. So I think we can wind up at that point, unless anyone has. Hello, yes.
Yes, I have seen you can get a business card template from the Freepik website.
Yes.
So you can still like edit develop
You can? Abu type it as a message. I don't know why. Sijui your nini is very loud. Inatoa ikiwa very loud. Can you send it as a message over here? But I think at that point, I think guys, we understand. So yeah, thank you for being in this class, by the way. Unless someone has a question, you can send it over, by the way.